All righty. Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard and 9:30 p.m. In Tokyo. So we talk to the whole world. Good morning, Robin. Let's see what we got going on today. Dollar index kind of dripping a little bit. I was really surprised because interest rates are still rising, but maybe they have the same attitude I. Oh no, what is it? Is it plus or minus? I got it minus. Okay, Hinky Ashkies are pushing it up. That's what it is. So when we go and turn off Hinky Ashkies, right there, you can see it's pressing down. So we're seeing a movement down on the overall. And you can see it's still climbing. This should roll over. If it's going to stay, as you see it on Chicago Quant, it will start to catch up to the Chicago Quant and roll over. So, buck a tub to you, yes. Been interesting days. You know, Powell said all kinds of fun stuff. Swiss Bank this morning refused. Credit Suisse, that's not Swiss Bank. Credit Suisse is not putting out its earnings. They delayed it. It's interesting times. Markets try to go down, they go up, they go down. I had somebody take out one of my option bids. I was amazed. I couldn't believe it that they filled it. It was like, this was yesterday. I was like, what is going on? They hit my bid, and I was bidding underneath, and they gave me a fill, and the market was rising. It was calls. I was like, what the heck? Good, thank you. So, yeah, it's definitely, the markets are all over the place at this point. Lots of interesting characteristics going on, and, you see here, let me take a look at the bonds. We've seen that the currencies are doing, but let's put the bonds up there. Let's see, here is the 30-year. And 30-year was trying to lift up. It's a real battle between the bonds and the government at this point. I mean, they probably understand the reality of it more than anybody else is the bond traders. Let's see, where is it at? How can I cannot find it? There's the 30-year. We'll put it up on Chicago Quant. You can see it's trying to move down. We were through earlier this morning, so we can get rid of that little green line again. And they went into the sell yesterday, and you can see that the product is, it's been on that long slope down, which means that interest rates have been rising since this point. Basically, they've been going up. Now let's look at a more short-term basis, the 5-year, and right there. It's fascinating. It's yielding over, it's right around 5%. I think it's like 480 or 490, something like that. And you can see as it's been dropping, the interest rates have been rising. So we have 3 or 4 different bills, I guess you could say, at this point that are, and this is a note when you get into the 5-year or 2 years on, they call them notes. They're all the same thing. They're basically a bond. That's what it comes down to. But you can see it. Let's see what we got over here in J4X. Let's see if we find a bond. I know they have the 30-year. We used to have it on here, and we used to look at it. There's a Bund right there. That's a German Bund. Let's see what that looks like. Same situation. Heading down, which means interest rates have been heading up. Just the whole situation is all upside down. Since the Federal Reserve and the central banks control the marketplace and they can print money when they want, it really makes it tough. But the bond traders themselves, the bond market is an over-the-counter market. The only thing that's listed on an exchange is the futures contracts, and so that's what's so unique about the whole situation is that it's an over-the-counter market, which means the bid and the offer can disappear in a heartbeat. Compared on the trading floor, we have somebody responsible trying to control the market. The over-the-counter market is just the Wild West of trading. Anyhow, that influences everything. Currency pairs and stocks, and just does it all. It doesn't end. It always constantly rolling along. It's influential. In other words, it connects to them. Let's see what else we got going on here. All right, why don't we do this? We'll jump over to a pairs trade and see what's going on there. So let's go over to the euro. Let's see what the euro is up to this morning. The second largest economy in the world. Right there. That's the currency will not be named. Right there. And there it is, the third day in a sell. But look at it, 2 days of just nothing, just dead. We're in the weekly sell, and it's just, it's like on stall. It's not really doing anything. Let's check it out over here. Right there. There you go. And you can see the last 3 days, it's been pressing down, but and it's in the sell, but it's not going anywhere. It's just hanging out. It doesn't have, we use the word conviction. In other words, you have a desire or conviction, or just, you're willing to do something. In this case here, there is no conviction at all to make any real trades in the euro at the moment. As we take a sip of our nice hot tea. All right, and then from there, let's take, you can see the same thing with the weekly. You see that right there. The weekly is just kind of, grooving along. You can see here, we went in right at the top. We went into the fast-moving algorithm dropped underneath, and then a couple weeks later, the slow joined in, and boy, it's pressure. Now let's take a look at the pound. There's the pound. And the same situation. Matter of fact, it's trying to bounce up. Same thing. It's 1 day slam. Powell comes out and says, nah, not going to really, stop doing what we're doing. And, they're following lagging indicators, which is even more irritating than anything else. It's not even up-to-date stuff. They're looking at stuff that's 3 to 6 months. It really makes you question, it's one or the other. It makes you question the level of intellect, or the level, how smart, basically, some of these central bankers are, or better to say, not too smart at all, really. Or they're just political hacks, and they're doing anything they can to spend more money of your money. It's taxpayers' money. There is no third alternative like, wow, this guy is really brilliant, and boy, they must really know. I mean, I have not seen a prediction from the Federal Reserve in decades that's been accurate. In decades. They've been wrong. They talk about, what do they have there's a funny saying about the Federal Reserve, and that is it's predicted, how do they say it? They say that the Federal Reserve has predicted 3 of the last 7 recessions. Something like that. In other words, they can't even get over 500 on predicting recessions. These are the people who have more information than any other source. They can see your checking account, what you do in your checking account. They can see what you do in your bank account in any form they want. They can see when and where you spend money. Or how much cash you've taken out, and if it's gone into other places. They can follow the stream incredibly well. How they don't have the ability to actually look at the markets says to me they're not very smart, or they're political hacks, and they believe there's some type of socialist in them, and they want to spend your money because you're not smart enough to know how to spend it yourself. That's it. It's one or the other. I don't have another answer. If anybody does, please tell me. But I don't see any other answer than they're not smart or they're political hacks. Because their track record doesn't show that they're brilliant. Like, oh, they said that this was going to go do that. Like the way my math does on the screen every day. And then it does happen. I've not seen central banks do that. Not in decades. I mean decades, years, 30, 40 years. They can't predict anything. I mean, they're just very bad at predicting. He was saying yesterday. Powell was saying about what was it that I was yakking about the last 2 days. If I had been a senator or a congressman, I would have been saying, explain to us again, transitory. What gave you the concept or idea that the inflation was just going to disappear after 2 or 3 months? And he came in, someone asked, like Kennedy from Louisiana or, someone like that, or Cruz from Texas, said, give us an idea. What did you think when you said it was transitory? And he said, well, we thought it was just a supply chain problem that would go away after 3 months. And I'm thinking to myself, this man has the power to see what every person on the planet's bank account does. He has the ability to see every bank account in America, if you're a billionaire or if you only have $10 to your name. He can see how you're spending your money, where you're putting your money. He can see if you've taken the cash out of the bank and it's not reappearing in paying off a credit, paying credit or, a bill on some form. They can see exactly where the money's going. So for him to say that, in a simplistic way, well, we just thought, is like saying that maybe the sun will rise tomorrow morning, but we're not sure. We might have 48 hours of darkness. I don't know. The sun could not come back up again for 72 hours. I'm not sure. That's exactly what he said to us. That's what he honestly said. And that is, to me, astonishing. It just blows my mind. It truly blows my mind. So I'm done, I guess, beating up on the Federal Reserve. I'm just trying to make it clear why I find the Federal Reserve, just such an irresponsible entity at this point in my life. And I assumed when they did the quantitative easing that they wouldn't be so irresponsible because of the power that quantitative easing gives them. Can you imagine? If I would have told you 20 years ago, let's see, what year are we in now? We're in 2023. If I had told you in 2003, well, yeah, guess what? The Federal Reserve is going to start flooding the markets with money, and they're going to push interest rates to a minus. You would have told me, Doc, I don't know what you're smoking or what drugs you're taking, but you're out of your mind. I would have, would you have not said that? Sure, Federal Reserve is going to make interest rates minus. They're going to make them actually minus. Yeah, and the cows are coming home in the afternoon, right, that type of thing. So anyway, that's my total perspective, my point of view of the last 2 days. It's such a childish, adolescent, criminal conversation. Really, it's not intelligent. There's nothing smart about it. If anything, it's almost criminal. So that's where we are. So when I look at the bonds and you go, well, why is Doc looking at notes now? I want to see what the British pound is doing. It's because it governs it, and you can see it right there. He spoke, and look at that dive. It dove, and in this case here, the cable's actually acting relatively strong, but you can see our math is not turning up. You can see the slow algorithm has dipped underneath the zero line, and it can't even get through the nonlinear time manifold that I invented. And at the same time, you can see the fast-moving algorithm trying to get through the zero line, from this steady state of, or this mathematical mean of, averaging. And then all of a sudden, he speaks, and it's smacked back down underneath the manifold again. All this telling you it wants to go down more than it wants to go up. And that's what our math always does. It shows you supply and demand. It picks up the supply and demand before the normal statistics even remotely pick it up. So that is that. I'm done patting myself on the back. I've strained my elbow too hard. Let's slide over to the Swiss and see what the Swiss is up to. Now, Swiss, I'm happy to see. When I saw this headline. Let me show you the headline. When I saw this headline this morning, I was like, "Oh no, not again!" It's like, can't they just find a way to, get their game together? It's just like, here it is, right there. And I'm going to bring this onto the screen, like so. There it is, right there. Credit Suisse delays annual report after SEC call. Share plunges to all-time low, which is not much at this point when you look at the chart. What do you mean next? Read trend. There we go. There's the. There it is, right there. It's trading around $2. Now we saw, back in January. I think we've seen it up in the 15s and 20s. I mean, it's just falling apart. It's just, they're obviously the Deutsche Bank of their country or the Citibank of our country, where they're owned by the central bank, and they probably have some incredible amounts of liability that no one wants to even get near. That's probably what the whole story is really about. And due to the fact that we don't have a media that's willing to talk about this insanity besides myself, hence I do outside the United States, not inside the United States, because they don't want to hear this. That's where we're at. All right, now from there we slide over to the yen, and I'm happy. Let me just repeat myself and put it up on J4X too, right here. That I am happy to see the Swiss go down against the dollar, which means it's gaining against the dollar, and so that's a good thing right there. And we'll see this thing roll over a little bit. This will start to turn. And you can see ours is been trying to roll over on the weekly. It's still above the zero line on the weekly, and you can see there the daily's been in a buy since the push by the Federal Reserve and starting to readjust. Now I heard the yen, same situation. There's the yen, and you can see over here on Chicago Quant, right there. You see it's trying to move back down also. But that news of Powell, has basically put a hole into the marketplace. I myself, I mentioned it yesterday, and I'm going to keep on mentioning it because I find it to be an important situation. There's an opinion out there that the market's going to crash in about 2 weeks. Now, I'm going to explain to you why. It starts today. That's what it is. What happens is every quarter, every 3 months, we do the switch. The S&P 500 and all the others, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, all that, they start switching the front month contract today. So what happens is that some of the biggest crashes have occurred after the switch. Now, not every switch. It happens 4 times a year, so we don't have massive drops. But some people who want to play the speculative game about the marketplace, will mention that at times. That's what's happening. And that's really what it comes down to. And so, we're going to start the switch today, and then next Friday morning it'll expire. And then the June contract will be the front month. And starting basically tomorrow or this afternoon or this morning, it'll be fighting to be the front month. And then it will be the front month going into tomorrow. Now, in the trading pits, back in the day, this morning it would have been the front month. But with the electronic market, it lags by a couple days. And the Tech 100 lags by about till Monday, Tuesday. And then the Dow Jones Industrial Average does the same thing. So we're going to go into the switch starting today. And a lot of times there's a problem with the quarterly expiration of it. And then the markets can have problems on the upside or downside. So, I myself, we get, here is, let me just show you. We'll drift out of the yen there for a second. And let's go over to... where is it at? We'll go to instrument. No, I don't want to change the instrument. I just want to go to a different product. There you go. So we go over to here. And let's take a look at the S&P 500 right there. And we are flirting with a weekly sell. You know, the fast has been under there for a couple of weeks. You can see that here. You know, and the slow broke the manifold, which told us that there was going to be problems. And we got this, then all of a sudden we got into a buy on this one here. And it jumped into the buy right there. And then, you know, we popped up like 100 points on the, it's a 100-point move. Let's widen this out a little bit. That's a 100-point move almost right there. It went into the buy in the 83, or is that? Went into the buy at 83 on the close there. And 2 days later, it was trading at 82. So it was a 99-point move over a 2-day period. And so, which is like almost a 1,000-point move on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And so you can see it slid into the sell from Powell's start. And it's not doing that adjustment that the cable's doing. Notice the cable and the euro, everybody seems to be trying to pick up speed again against the dollar. But in this case here, you can see the indice is not. And this is the switch is beginning. This is the March contract, and they're going to start doing the June contract. And we'll keep an eye on that. So, now, where do we go from here? We go to, back to the, we go to the Turkish lira and see what the Turkish lira is up to. Let's see, right there. All right. Okie dokie. So there is the, ooh, that was that crazy Ivan yesterday. And you can see it's trying to lift up, but we're in the sell here. In the weekly sell now for, 5 weeks. Somehow or another, the math picked up the earthquake situation before it actually happened. It's interesting how it does that. And you can see that pressure is sideways down at this point when it comes to the euro against the Turkish lira. Now from there, we dance our way over to the two currencies that deal with the commodities to some extent. And there is the Canadian. And from the Canadian, we're going to stick that up. We're going to stick it onto the screen here. Well, you know what I want to do? I just want to double check the euro Turkish lira. They have it the line like that. Wow, there. Interesting. Okay. And then let's put crude oil up there. There's a quick look at Brent. See, Brent is working its way down. And as Canadian is going up, that's usually the way it works. And let's take a look at West Texas. Right there. And that's doing the same thing. It's going down in price, and it's going up. So that is the nature of the action when you're following the Canadian. Know that the oil market has a good influence on the product itself. Then from there, we slide over to the South African Rand. And kind of the same situation. Obviously, the Rand is holding up there, so I'd imagine the gold is hanging down. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of red. Right there. Yeah, a little red there. And it moving down, doing the same thing as it goes up. And then when gold goes up, you can see how it did it right there. It went down, the South African Rand. And that's that relationship these two particular currency pairs have with the metals and the energies. All right, now let's take a look at, from there we go over to the Mexican peso, and we'll finish off our currency review. I think we have unemployment numbers coming out today, don't we? Currency, Mexican peso, I saw this morning, I was looking at it, it's heading for new lows. I didn't think there was going to be much strength left into it. Right. There we go. And you see they're at its lows, which gives me hope that things are going to get better here in the States when the the Mexican peso picks up against the dollar like it has been doing that long glide, it usually means that they know that things are going to get better here. Because, being involved in Mexico on some levels is like, a free way to get into the United States. And so you can see here on the weekly, it's been pressing down. And where's that zero line? Move that zero line down there. There's the zero line. So that's the nature of it all. You can see we tried to pop up here, but this green line couldn't get through the manifold at all. So it's been in that cell straight down. All right. No questions this morning. It's interesting. Our first half hour, and there's no questions. I guess I scared people away by beating up the central banks. Oh, central bank, you are so bad. You don't know what you're doing and where you're going. That's Doc's opinion of it. And there's no stopping it, it seems like. It's just like a runaway freight train. It's going to end by falling off the tracks and crashing into something. The ground, a building, who knows. But it's definitely a runaway freight train. That's exactly what it is at this point. Indeed. Indeed, indeed. All right. So from there, where do we go from there? Let's get rid of the currencies. Close those currencies. And if anybody does want to see them, we can put them back up. Believe me, I have no problem putting them back up on the screen. Let's see now. Let's do this. Let's go to the intraday. Let's get that up on the screen. No, that's not it. There it is right there. So, where else do we go? Well, there is the S&P 500. You can see they tried to get up. That was last night's close, basically, and then in the Asian hours they knocked it down, and in the European hours they knocked it down, and now they're trying to pick it back up again. And we always like to say, for every, if they want to take them down, they're going to try to take them up. So you would assume that there'll be during this switch time, they'll find a way to try to lift them up into the buy, get them going. Maybe they'll fail. They'll get into a buy, but not a weekly buy. And then, if we're in a weekly sell and then we even get near to acting like a daily sell, it'll be Smash City. All right. TOA. Now, from there, we are going to go over to, let's go right there, and check out crude oil. You can see crude oil has been going down, and obviously Canadian's been going up. It isn't a weekly buy, though. That's the curious thing right there. This is the front month, April, which will be good all the way until next week. And they're so liquid, you can almost follow them right to the end, which is neat. And there's the June contract. And you can see there it's, same situation. It's the Powell spoke and bang, everything went. It's pretty much the way it seems to be at this point. And there's Brent there up on the J4X. Powell speaks and the markets, unravel because he controls the money. He's got the money. Show me the money. That's right. They loan money out to all kinds of people 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter if you have $1 billion in your bank account, they'll lend you money if you're willing to spend it the right way as far as they're concerned. And they lend it to them for free. That's the best thing of all. Can you imagine Citadel gets $1 billion to play with every night for free? They just put spreads on and just keep the markets firm. That's why markets are much more firm than, when people keep on thinking, we've got to have a crash, this has got to happen. Well, the Federal Reserve just hands them more money. It says, here, you can hold on to your positions overnight for free. And then after a while, it's like, well, just keep the money and hold on to the position. And if you sell the position, then you got to give me the money. And If someone gave you $1 billion to be long stock, would you not be long stock? For free? Hey, who out there would like $1 billion, to be free? Let's see. And that's pretty much the dance to it all. Funny, huh? Funny, crazy. All right, what else we got going on there? Trying to think what else we can jump over to. We'll go to Nat Gas. Right there. There's the Nat Gas. It fell into the sell yesterday. It's pretty much flattened itself. That was an interesting pop up, and then bang, they smacked it down. The fact that it got through the $3 area is pretty cool. We've been pretty bullish on it since back in here. And we got into the daily buy for that whole ride. And now it's finally trying to get into a sell there. I don't know how long that'll last. At one point this morning, you can see it's over the our little green algorithm. The green line there is trying to get through the zero line. You can see it's up 0.0027. So it's trying. It is trying. All right. From there, where else do we go? We go to my favorite. There's this energy company down in Spain. And let's find it. And it kind of gives us a flavor of what's going on. Hanging out in the low 26s the last couple days. So that's not too bad. And here in the States, we're hanging out at $2.76, almost 77 cents. What a difference compared to Europe. That's $26 a cubic foot. And basically, we are $2.77 a cubic foot. Yeah. So you're kind of like, wait a minute, say that again? So in Europe, they're paying $26 a cubic foot. Yes, $26.18 a cubic foot. Okay, and then what are you paying for it in America? We pay $2.77. Not $27? No, $2.77. Ah, there's Pro again. Hey, Pro, how you doing? Sir, I want to start Forex trading. How can I start? Please help. Well, my honest opinion, I'm a big fan of intraday Forex trading. So that's one way. Do you want to trade it as a intraday trader, or do you want to be a position trader? Simple question. Once you figure out which one you want to be, if not both, we can then go on to the next level, explaining how one works versus the other. How's that? All right. So let's see, where are we at now? So we're looking at Nat Gas, and so we can go from Nat Gas over to, we'll go to, what do we go to? We will go to the metals market, and we'll wait for Pro to give us a flavor of where their head is at on what type of trading they'd like to do. Because one size doesn't fit all. So you'll just have to, tell us what you're thinking about. You take your time. You could always come back tomorrow. You can come back 2 minutes from now. You can come back 10 seconds from now, or, whatever. Whenever you come up with that answer, or if you ask what's the difference, then we'll explain you what the difference is. It's no problem at all. All right. And there is gold up on Chicago Quant. And let's put gold up on J4X, which we looked at before already, which is fine because we were looking at the Canadian. And where are you? It's around here somewhere. Must be up higher. There it is right there. See, gold's been pressing down the last couple of days. You can see overall, though, it's really just plateaued down at the bottom here. And then let's take a look at silver. Silverado. Oh, and let's just talk about the weekly there. You see, fast algo dropped underneath up in here. The slow dropped here on that ABC, I guess you could say, and then that's the last adventure, or that last long adventure too. And that's where we are with the weekly. Now let's take a look at silver. Silverado. Do 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 do. And there it is. There's silver. Dancing down to the $20 area. And you can see, I can see, we all can see. You can see here the weekly is, did the same thing. It broke down right here at the top of this particular move in the 24s, went into the weekly sell. And wouldn't it be nice if the Federal Reserve did the same thing? Had charts out there showing what their call was, their opinion, and then the marketplace could see how accurate or inaccurate it is. We live and die for the last 10 years here at Dukascopy, showing you the actual track record every day live. Not like, and so 3 weeks ago we were a bear, and guess what? It went down. No, we showed you the day it started, and then we reiterated. We showed it to you over and over again as the rest of the market finally followed. So now from the silver contract, as you can see on J4X, same situation. The daily has been pressing down again, and the pressure has been on. We go over to its cousin, and that is copper, or the gold of China. China, Illinois, as my dad used to say. He said there are so many things coming in from China, it must be Illinois. It has to be China, Illinois. I thought, okay, sure, Dad. He was right, and he usually was a good prognosticator. He had a general idea sometimes of something really coming up before it happened. And then you can see there's the copper. It's been pushing down on the daily. You see it over here on Chicago Quant. It's right there. Oh, nope. Pushed the button too quick. There it is, right there. It jumped into the buy yesterday. The line is there, but the tag is not. So let's fix that. Let's just try to refresh that. Let's see if we can get that refreshed. Let's see. Let's go like that. There you go. That fixed it. And this morning, not sure why that green line is in there. Let's see. Let's just go back to the exchange. I'm going to go take a look at the exchange and see what they show, and then we can confirm if our data is wrong. Okay. Let's see. What is it? That is Copper May. Let's see what Copper May looks like. Copper May. So let's see. This is wrong. That one is wrong. The high is way higher up. Way higher up. That's why the problem is there. Let's see if we can download it. See if it'll refresh. If not, we'll straighten it out. Which one is it? Load. There it is. No. We'll have to fix that. We'll have to go into the data feed and straighten that out. It's missing the high. The high was almost a little bit higher than the day before. And then what happened the next day? Then it rallied up, and that low is wrong. So both the high and the low of those two are wrong. And so somewhere in there, we got into a buy and went right back into a sell. So we will straighten that out. Matter of fact, I think you can see the charts we sent out this morning probably reflects it better. Oh, no, we didn't send out copper this morning. That's what it is. Okay, that goes out after the webinar. All right, so we'll straighten that out. All right, so from there, yesterday we reached into the platinum and saw what they were doing. So we'll do it again today. Why not? And there's the platinum trying to bounce up. That's an interesting thing. You can see it's racing towards the zero line when it comes to the fast algorithm. So they're pushing. They're pushing and they're trying. They're a rocking and a rolling and a reeling. Hey, Pro, anything yet? If not, just ask another question and we'll see if we can resolve that. to your interest. Sir, I want to start Forex trading. How can I start? Please help. Okay, and what kind of trading you want to do? I can't tell you how to trade if you can't tell me what kind of trading you want to do. I mean, do you want me to do the history of trading? The different best concepts of trading? I answered your question, just waiting for you to respond to the answer, if it's satisfactory or not. Okay. Alrighty. From there, there we go to, that was the metals, right? We did the energy. So, what else do we got going on metals-wise? So we did gold, silver, copper, and platinum. Want to see what palladium's doing? We got palladium right here too. Let's see what the palladium is doing. Activate. And palladium's hanging out on the... that's interesting. It went into that curve and still stayed in the buy. Something doesn't look right there, but let's go take a look at it on the exchange. We don't follow it anymore. We had a client following it. We don't follow it. So once it's not being followed, most of the time I'm not paying attention to it. And so the data feed is a magical thing, without a doubt. And this is the June contract with a whole 707 in volume. Woohoo. Let's see. Yeah, that's all wrong. Let's see if we can load it, reload it. Let's see, how would we reload it? Let's do it this way. Okay, so if I go like that and say okay, okay. Close. There we go. That makes more sense. Look at that. See, it's going down. That's better. And there's the sell. Right there. There we go. And what else can we say about any of this? I have something to say about the CFTC. If they weren't owned by the exchanges, it would be nice because then they would enforce better data feed. Let's put it that way. Whereas on the stocks, we have no problem like that. When we look at stocks, as much as I find the Securities Exchange Commission a joke and totally disorganized, it's not owned by the exchanges. So they actually are an adversary of the exchanges, whereas the CFTC is owned and operated by the exchanges. So wearing a pretend hat that they're a government agency. Was it Bill Clinton put a mobster's son in charge of the CFTC at one point? I think it was. Amazing. When I went to Chicago, that's what they said. Now you're going to the snake pit. All right. So that's the end of the metals. Where can we go from there? Let's see. Oh, let's double check to see if Pro has figured out a response. No response. Okay. Well, you want to start Forex trading. I guess one of the first things you have to do is answer or respond to an answer. That would help. Because if you are only able to just throw a question out without having a response, then you're not really going to get enough feedback to be a trader. That's what it really comes down to. I say, go to the casino and bet on black or red, and sometimes green. Because in trading, when it comes to the commodities and the currencies and the stocks, it takes work. You just don't throw it up into the air. You must work at it. All right. That's done with the metals. Let's go to the stock indices. Let's see what they're up to. We got about 14 minutes left. I think the news will be out soon. So there is the S&P 500. You can see it's breaking down again. And we go to the intraday. And again, obviously evidence live of who is accurate and who's not. Doc went into a sell right. Which one is it? So it's off this line. So 3 off the line. So 3 off the line. So 1, 2, 3. So we went into a sell here. Did it go up or did it go down? It's a test question. It's an open book test question. Did this go up or down when the doc math said it was going down? And the answer is, it went down. Oh, magic. Like here. Doc's math said it's going into a buy. Did it go up or down from here? Remember, it's an open book test question. All right. From there, we'll go over to the Tech 100. And let's put this. Let's put the S&P 500 on the J4X and show you that. There it is right there. You can see the strength in that thing, or the lack of it in this case here. Ever since Mr. Powell spoke, it's just been that. Now let's go over and take a look at Tech 100, which is the NASDAQ 100 index, which is like, what powers the modern economy. I mean, you got Apple and Apple Computer, you've got Amazon, Google, you've got Cisco Systems, you've got Intel, Microsoft. You have who did I leave out of there? Did I say Amazon? You have Tesla. You have Amgen. You have some biotechs in there, just as much as you have some of the other things. So, this is definitely the heart of the 21st century's equity base, and they're not penny ante companies anymore. Whereas now the Russell 2000 is kind of like the the cheap little operation of speculation. Now when you look at the stock indices, the S&P 500 and the Tech 100 are very well respected, of course. And the Tech 100 used to be the spec index. People say, oh my God, they have no earnings. There's no reason to want to buy those stocks without dividends. Now 7 of them are out of the 30 Dow Jones Industrial Average stocks are in the NASDAQ. So the old members of the New York, as much as they used to gripe when I was a member there, they pretty much are really griping in their grave. The fact that the Dow has NASDAQ stocks and basically is Shopify at NYSE. I think Shopify is an NYSE stock. I don't think it's a NASDAQ stock, but I know it's in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So I guess the one that, we're going to talk about both, the Dow Jones and the Tech 100. Let's put the Tech 100 in there on our screen here. There it is right. No, that's natural gas. Where are you? There you are. So there's that. Now, when looking at the stock indices, it's a fascinating story, going from controlling the equity market, the New York Stock Exchange, to being owned by a futures exchange now, the ICE, which is very entertaining. The Intercontinental Exchange, ICE. And you can see here, this is the Tech 100. It's pressing down. We are falling into the weekly and daily sells with no problem. Pressure is on. It's going to be very interesting. The switch starts today. It'll go in full effect by Monday. Because of the the electronic market, or the electronic market, we used to call that the over-the-counter market. Now that's what the markets have aspired to be, is totally over-the-counter. That's one way you can steal. That's what I've seen them do things, but the agencies don't really care. The CFTC or the Securities Exchange Commission, they don't really care about the theft that goes on. They just kind of have their own agendas. All right, nothing wrong with a specialist and a bid and an offer and making somebody responsible. Who would think that would be a good thing? Me, not them. Me, not them. All right, from the NASDAQ, we go over to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And the Dow is, like I said, 7 of the 30 stocks in the Dow is in the NASDAQ, which is For an old member, trust me, it's a blow my mind type of thing. It is a blow my mind. Matter of fact, no one really talks about it. I find that interesting, that no one talks about the demise of the New York Stock Exchange. What in blazes is that? What's that gap? I don't think we gapped down 700 points 3 days ago. So let's see if we can reload that. Again, these are futures, so your chances of getting accurate data sometimes can be very tricky. They do their best. Welcome to the snake pit. There you go. You have to refresh it, or it'll steal it. I remember lawsuits. I remember this one floor broker, Robin and I talk about him. He would steal your watch off your arm if you weren't watching. And during the crash of '87, people put market orders out there, and he filled them $33,000 lower, $37,000 lower than what could have been transacted. Amazing. It is the snake pit. It is the snake pit. Oh my God. And anyway, there is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it's kind of doing the same thing that the others are doing, kind of twisting a little bit. Hasn't taken out that low, which is kind of interesting. It's been in a weekly sell now for like 4 weeks. It's kind of interesting how it's really rolled over, and you can see obviously we went into the weekly sell in this week in here somewhere. It hit that number. The daily is very clear right there, and it's another test question, but it's an open book test question. Traders, did it go up or down when the doc's math said it was going to go down? You can look at the picture for a while. You can try to tell us if it's here or if it's here. Just put a little mark here. Did it go here or did it go down to here? Anybody want to answer that question? I'm waiting. Can't wait to hear the answer. Because remember, this is an open book test, so you should be able to respond. How about you, pro? You want to be a trader? Tell me. The math said be short here. Did it go there or did it go there? Where did it go? Well, we'll just let you all try to figure that out. All right, from there, let's erase those cute little marks. Make it a little tougher open book test. Now you don't even know if it went up or down, do you? Oh, yeah, that's right. The white lines told us. All right, so from there, we go to one of my real favorites. This is like the soul of the market. This is I know, this is a funny thing to say. This is the soul of the market. And what it is it's the Russell 2000. And it is the $500 million companies, things like that, really speculative. There's 2,000 stocks, and the chances of one of them being an Apple computer is 2,000 to 1. One of them might be an Apple computers one day, or they may be an Intel one day, or a Microsoft one day. One out of the 2,000. What happens to the other 1,999? Sideways, down, maybe a little bit better than some, but not an Apple or a Microsoft. The chances of two of them being that are even more lower. But that's what that is. And when this is being sold down, and you can see here, it's doing the same thing. It's just sliding into the sell now, not like the Dow. Now you can see our fast algo did. 3 weeks ago, it pushed underneath. Now the manifold, the green line is below our time manifold here, the non-linear time manifold. And so the combined together tells us that there's pressure on the product. And since no one really asked to see it, I don't really put the lines in there and fill it in and pay attention that closely. But you can see the product has been sliding down for the last couple of days. Now, I have my doubts there, so we're going to try to do a refresh. Remember, this is a futures contract, so you got to count your fingers after you push the button. You never know if they're going to steal it from you or not. There you go. Okay, that makes more sense. And so it had its little dive right there. And so you can see that little pressure, but it's sideways at this point. And it's just hanging out there. So what else can we say about any of that? I guess the fact that the low capitalized companies are holding up pretty well here. When you go back and look, and not counting what the October low was, that's just December. There's your October low, when it was at 16 and change. And here you are now trading at 18 and change. and high 18s. So, they're not taking out lows. They're not making new lows. Now, they did on this slide right here. It's interesting. It took this low out. That's right there. This low has just been taken out yesterday from there with Mr. Powell giving his brilliance of opinion and understanding of the marketplace. So that's pretty much where we are. And that's, the name of the game, really. And for Pro's not sure if he wants to be or she wants to be a Forex trader or not. Because the first rule is ask question, get answer, and then respond. So tomorrow maybe your internet situation is that you only get a shot at asking a question and then you get it recorded. And then you can look at it and listen over and over and over again. Maybe that's what the whole game is really. Maybe that's what Pro is doing. So tomorrow, Pro will be able to ask another question. I'll answer it. And then Pro will go back to the video or the recording of it and try to learn from that. That's a good idea, Pro. I can understand that. That makes sense to me. If you want to really digest something, get it on the tape. Like saying like something like, you'll be the broker and I don't know what I'll be. Something like that. All right. So this is Doc from North America. We have to come up with a name for this too today. Oh, wait a minute. Let's just double check. Is there news coming out? I think we have an unemployment number coming out at this point. We can stick around for 2 or 3 minutes if you want to hear or see what the markets do. Just give me a yes or no, and I'll do that. And if no one gives me a yes or no, then I will just go off and jump on the tractor and play pretend farmer. So, all I have to do now is come up with a name for this. I think it's going to be Powell's going to be in there again. I got a great name for it today. Federal Reserve. Is it live or is it recorded? That's the biggest question of all. Is it live? It used to be a TV commercial called a Memorex commercial for tape. And I used to say, is it live or is it Memorex? Because it was so good that it, you weren't sure if you were listening to it live or were you listening to it through recording. And I'm looking at yesterday's title too. Let's take a look at Bitcoin while we're waiting to see if someone's going to say yes. Let's see the Bitcoin. Let's go check out Mr. and Mrs. Bitcoin, the leader of the stock indices, and see what it's doing today. And there is that. Right there. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Still gliding down. So that's not a good sign for the stock market, traders. Definitely not a good sign for the stock market. Wow. Look at the fast algo. It's like proving Sir Isaac about gravity. It moves at 9.8 meters a second and refuses to adjust. Depending on the height, of course. Actually, gravity is a very weak force compared to magnetism. And so gravity, you have a different gravity when you're up on a 30-story building. Just minute, but you do have a different gravity than you do on the ground floor. All right, so this is Doc from North America. Since no one said, yeah, let's stick around to see what the numbers are like. Saying, happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be TGIF. Hooray! Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders.